If you're just joining me for the first time, hello. And if you have returned, welcome back. My name is Troublemaker. This is Wargame European Escalation and the Wargame Cup, put on by UGen Systems and sponsored by Intel. And we're looking at a NATO versus Pack game today by NATO player, of course, is going to be Allcuza. Maybe it's just Allcuza. And the Pack player will be Mort45. So we're looking at two opponents who are relatively unknown, so it's a good match to end this off with. This will be the last round 2 video I'll be doing. I'll have to play some other games in the meantime while waiting for round 3 to really kick in the high gear. And of course, every single round that comes out, the quality of the matches will severely increase and become more and more tactical. And there'll be a lot more to analyze instead of just mistakes. So looking at NATO player Allcuza, it looks like he's got a long lineup of units spread up across the entire area. Of course, when you're placing your units, the best place to place them is always along roads, because that means they can go to the move fast command relatively quickly. But I see here he's doing, he's actually got recons and a few infantry going at specific locations on the map. And same thing over here, some recons, some just spread along the flanks. And we're seeing a roughly similar type of thing here from Mort. We'll call him Morty, just like W. And as the match unfolds, it looks like we're going to see maybe Delta get taken by Allcuza and Foxtrot. And oh my god, here's the battle for Foxtrot that I was talking about. Infantry running into infantry, lots of anti-aircraft units here and anti-tank weapons here, which will not be very good against these Fusiliers. And it's all Fusiliers. This battle is very, very crazy. We don't usually see a lot of infantry battles like this on this map. Looks like the NATO forces are slowly getting driven down. And whoa, this continues to push forward. Lots of tanks in the mix for Allcuza as he squashes another opponent. The Gazelles are getting caught into this mix of infantry here. And looks like everything's set away, but whoa, look at this. This is a lot of infantry units and a big mix of infantry units coming up for Mort. There is a couple, maybe 3 infantry units here to take care of this. But whoa, this battle for middle continues to happen. Zippo is moving in, trying to wind up and knock out some of these units. He's going after the armored personnel carrier, of course, instead of the infantry, which is not necessarily a mistake, but is not an efficient use of the unit. The unit, of course, does very high bonus damage against infantry, and down here we have seen all of the infantry have been deployed for, and we have a BTR, oh, actually some tank destroyers, really changing the mix-up. And it looks like a successful push through by the red player. Blue, of course, has taken the middle of the map, and nothing else, apparently. Odd. Where's this other command of his? Oh, it is actually skating on the edge here. Definitely wanting to escape this location as this little battle here continues. Looks like red might have the upper hand. There are only 2 rep from us, and that is actually the end of that. So a very explosive open here. 150 point increase advantage for Mort. And it continues to increase as, whoa, the command might get picked off. He's got to pay attention here. Oh my god. The Amex is winding up. This is... Oh, don't lose. He's just pulling back just in time. He just realizes what the hell he's about to do. And all the infantry are actually getting pulled out. Could be a sneaky play, but oh no. No, 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 no. Oh god. Oh no. This is a very armored command, so it'll be able to take a few hits. It won't die instantly like the other ones, which is really good. And it's actually got used to bait out a lot of forces, and they continue to get baited out, and they'll continue to get shot down by these tanks as more anti-infantry vehicles are piling in to try and wipe these out. Allcuza definitely keep this game close. He's got lots of toes here firing on location as well. And there's also a multi-strategy getting pushed out by the Zippo. Just going to finish it off, of course. I just like to see it burn. Burn, young men. They need to create a burn animation, like just molted flesh in this game. That would be excellent and awesome. And more BTR 60 Pi armored carriers moving in, trying to do whatever damage they can. Looks like they might just get swamped down though by the insanely high number of units here. He's pulling these French spares here to deal with this. Not the best choice because French spares primarily used for recon. And looks like the VAB might get some shots off on these BTRs, so they continue to push forward. These of course have no infantry in them, so their deaths are not that valuable. And up north here we see another group of infantry going to take out a Delta force. That's a good unit to take out. And it's actually retreating just before it's getting taken out. Push forward and boom, it's gone. And now all of a sudden the game is very, very even once again. This is definitely a good game to end on. I have a feeling that these games are not as low levels as I thought they might be. Odd position though here. Looks like Echo and Golf go to Allcuza, who now has a 1 point lead, and we have a single command here not being used by, oh my god, he's actually going to deploy it on Echo to stop quick reinforcements from Mort. However, he has no reinforcement point himself, which makes it all kind of silly and nutty and weird, but here we are. Cut his resources down, and now he has a 1 point lead on him. They're moving up. They could actually probably get this command if they really wanted it. Looks like they're gonna just rush it. Does he see it? He does. Oh, now he sees it. And it's actually eliminating quite a few forces, but he's running them right into the middle of the enemy's forces, and looks like that'll get shot down relatively soon. Command forced to relocate again. Not good. We have some Conquerors actually firing on the command. Is that right? That's not good. Maybe it's on these TPC Fuchs. Yes, looks like it's on the Fuchs, which sounds a lot like a swear word. I'm not really sure what Allcuza is doing as a strategy here. It's a very odd strategy. He's moving this command in between the 2 points, just trying to make good use of it. That's something you can't criticize the guy too much for. The Recon's actually moving up here and gunned down by the Conquerors. I was about to say that Recons don't do terribly against these Conquerors, but just the sheer number of them there becomes problematic. And he's actually moved some tanks down, wants to deal with this group of units. There's 2 Conquerors here, so this could be a very problematic push for the young Allcuza as the Conquerors wind up. They're running low on ammunition, and actually, where are they firing at? It looks like a total miss there. The Mort45 trying to gun down this scene before it can hit, and suddenly this is not looking so good. The main battle tank has moved into a new position where it cannot be seen. Fusiliers in the woods, going to get gunned down by this infantry vehicle here, and still a very close game. Can't really count anybody out right now. Now that he has a reinforcement point again, it looks like he is in a good position again. This is really the map. If you have 2 guys going for the pincering strategy, where they try to pincer India, you get this sort of dynamic where the main objective of the map totally gets ignored. Now keep in mind, there are some units here by Mort. He may try to sneak a command in there if he can afford it, but so far he's been buying a lot of new units and expensive ones, like this Recon here, very expensive Recon, a 65 pointer, and definitely not saving up for a command just yet. Or, no, those are just 2 commands. Okay. Resupplying up these very important Chapinels, which of course are area of effect rocketing type guys. Rep Famas versus the FJBs. Oh my god, the AMX battle tanks might take a loss. No, it looks like he in fact stunned FJB. Mort45 is along the front here though. It looks like they're trying to run away. Nope, they're going to rush forward now. Nope, they're going to stand in position and stand at attention. They do. The AMX is winding up on these Mort45. They want to get every... No, actually, whoa, there's some BTR Zalos moving up. This is kind of crazy. There's actually a lot of Zalos here. Going to do a lot of damage against the tanks, and whoa, big giant victory for Mort. Allcuza has a fairly big lead, but he might be able to tie the gap by knocking out these AMXs with cheap tank destroyers. And, the tank destroyers both go down. The AMX gets made. Of course, these are very armored tanks. Very, very hard to kill. And, he's trying everything he can. These tows, not very expensive, not going to bridge the gap. Allcuza has a significant lead, and all these tows are actually emptied and need to be resupplied. A very dangerous situational position for Allcuza as more and more anti-tank weapons deployed. Whoa, we have a Zippo running into an anti-infantry vehicle, and the Zippo's taking care of it very effectively. Both are in panic though, so that's kind of a problematic scenario. Looking at this southern all-important flank, rockets are flying, but not many of them are actually hitting. Some unlucky shots for Morty, who is trying his hardest with these Zalos to wipe out what he can. Zalos do wind up. The AMX is winding up against it, and if it's all going to come down to the randomness of this battle. What rockets hit first? How effective are the rockets that hit? And so far, the Zalo is doing too good. It's not doing too bad. It's going against 2 AMX 30Bs, and the exchanges are not going bad. But there we go, he goes down. The AMX is actually worried, and whoa, we actually have a little bit of a position here. where blue is rushing a lot of forces into this reinforcement point for red, and this is going to be a pain in the butt for red. He does have another place to bring in units, but this is a lot of infantry to deal with. Lots of Fusiliers, some battle tanks here. This is not just a ragtag group of just 2 units. This is how you do it. You bring in a lot of units. A lot of units that can deal with anything that's going to come out of here. Back to the main battle. We have a spoon moving up with some infantry in it. Motostrelkis are getting pushed back. The Conkers are firing. We have Przyglas firing on something here. I don't see any aircraft. Do you see any aircraft? I don't see any aircraft. Oh, these are actually the enemy's Przyglas firing at the Fusiliers. Looks like the Fusiliers will take the position. AMX moves to level 3. That AMX has actually been a hero AMX. This position looks like it will in fact go to Allcuza, who is slowly securing this grounds. Of course, there is a complete flank by Mort, who has a very strong positional advantage. However, he does lack the reinforcement advantage. He is forced to reinforce from Gulf. These longer reinforcement paths will cost him over time, and we're seeing that in the score right now. Allcuza is able to win a lot of these big strategic battles just because his enemy is not able to reinforce them just in time. Motostrelki trying to take on a very, very large group of units, and it looks like these Motostrelkis will in fact go down. A small victory for Allcuza. Oh, these poor souls. What have you done with your life, men? Nothing. That's what. It's a very slow battle, and most infantry versus infantry battles are honestly very slow. There is an infantry fighting vehicle that will help us out, but for now these men will survive. Whoa, 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 whoa. Looks like something got caught off here. Oh, it's just a Scot. Who cares about the Scot? We care about more of this battle. Przyglas still alive. I didn't think they'd survive this long. Motostrelkis, of course, running out of ammunition, always a very good sign of good play. They are routed and running away and all destroyed. Still 5. Przyglas here. It's camping out, but they will get cleaned up very quickly as a lot of units are here. And, you know, Allcuza winning a lot of big battles here. That Scot's not as important as it looks. And you can see these guys both have very good tactics for dealing with this. Mort went for a wraparound. He brought all his units around this flank, whereas Allcuza went for a more centered focus, grouping up his units relatively close together and going for impact. Both fairly good, but speaking about fairly good, Allcuza is actually bringing a lot of infantry through the woods, and there are actually 2 commands neatly positioned. He actually sees it. He's moving the command out of position. He has something here, but not really enough to really deal with this. Maybe he didn't even see this. Maybe he's moving this command over to hotel, just so he can have another entry point. No, he's actually moving both commands out of the way. Very, very fearful the enemy will rush, and he probably knows this is coming. He does in fact see it, so here they come. What words cannot describe is this battle. We have some Conkers trying to fire on these infantry carrier vehicles as they rush through the woods, and winding up Tunguskas, not too bad against infantry. We also have some Motostrelkis. He's got to deploy, he's got to fight the battle. Legion Famas, and some devastating losses for Mort, who just did not have enough to really defend this. And lots of rockets going off. Motostrelkis will be the one surviving, and Blast Band is down. He now needs to reload these, which is annoying, and go after these commands, which look like they're going to try and find a different position on the map. The number of forces on the map for Mort is actually very tiny. The number of forces on the map for Allcuza is actually very large. Allcuza has been winning these battles, which is always good and a big key to victory in these kind of games. Command focused on this little town here, which of course is a very easy position for an infantry pack to just rush through this path here. The AMXs are firing on these Zalos. The Zalos, of course, a very superior vehicle. Looks like he's just going to take a position somewhere. Nope. He was just doing a weird U-turn. Never mind, he is now going into the field. Hey everybody, welcome to Canada's Worst Drivers. My name is Troublemaker, and now we're going to watch the worst drivers in Canada. These drivers are not even on the road, folks. They do not understand that you should stay on the road. And they're actually just evading all the stuff in here, playing very smart with this, not just wanting to rush all his units out. He's going to try and take this position here, which is not bad, because if you push units right here, in this little patch of woods here, you can actually pick off a lot of units. And of course, these are the Fusiliers, which are your engineering squad. Very good against tanks. And he will probably get this BTR Pi, which is running away, getting reinforced by some infantry fighting vehicles, and 2 more infantry as well. So it'll be on Allcuza to not rush too far, or he could be in a whirl of pain. These ones here actually also have rockets, the Conqueror rockets, so they'll do actually much better than the Saracens will against the Saracens. And here we go, the Saracens are down and out, just like that. These are really good vehicles, by the way. I use these myself, the BMP2s. Very, very good for these select situations where you have a lot of infantry, but you also need something. Speaking of dead infantry, the Fusiliers are stunned and might get run over. Looks like these tanks decide just to stop just in time. Feeling the need to wipe this unit out with guns. Oh my god, the Fusiliers actually took a hit off of these infantry vehicles, and the battle of anti-tank infantry versus tank. The tank seems to have won. All the while, big push of tanks here. Conquerors out of ammunition, unable to deal with it. We have some Zalos here, but remember, these are our very armored column moving out. That's 8 tanks. There is not enough forces here from Mort to deal with this, and he might just want to pull back this Zalo and really refocus his units. The Allcuza artillery trying to get a good lucky stun here, and a lucky stun will do very well here. Stun, of course, used to slow down your opponent's attack so you can reorganize yourself, or it can also be used in attacks to make sure the enemy cannot respond or that their units cannot attack. And he's just going to keep pushing with this very armored column. He isn't risking anything, by the way. If he loses this attack, he doesn't lose, and he has a very large army protecting his front, so he can actually keep pushing this and making all the right choices, just picking up these tank destroyers. And this is an advantage of being on the defense at a zone that you're going to reinforce from. It allows you to do things like this, where you're just kind of picking all the right units. And this is what I'm talking about, quasi anti-tank weapon. Because what did Allcuza did? He started off with a big group of infantry, and then he moved into a big group of tanks. And once he got the anti-infantry vehicles, he didn't have enough anti-tank vehicles. It's a very good switch play. What's a nicer word for maybe bait and switch? That sounds like a better way of saying this. Just refuel up these AMX 30Bs, and another one coming as well. Looks like a lot of well-placed tank destroyers are going to really affect these tanks, which need to get on the move. And oh, there's another one down. Suddenly this is not looking so good for Allcuza, but once again, Allcuza is not risking too much now. He really just wants to finish this game. Any hits that he can get on Mort will pay off, just because of how little Mort has right now, and he really wants to get these commands out. He really wants to get into an effective attacking position, just creating an effective line. And the more of these anti-tank weapons he destroys, the harder it will be for Mort to survive this. We do see a bunch of infantry actually moving into the reinforcement point. And these be effective because these turns do not have any guns. They just have the rockets. So this is getting scary. It's a 500 point difference. It's still not within the realm that Allcuza can't make a mistake. He can definitely make a mistake, and Morty can definitely come back from this. It's just a matter of how big the mistake is and what kind of mistake it is. Now keep in mind, Allcuza is not going for a crazy all-in where he picks up every single unit in the game and just goes for it. He's using a nice variety of units. And so by stacking one type of unit, specifically this MTLB Shaturn S edition, it's not going to hurt him as much as a person who just did a tank all-in. So, 20 minutes left in the game. Not many units on the map for Mort at the moment. Kind of a problematic situation. He's definitely trying to get out units that he thinks that he'll need as they come. So like this, he knows this infantry attack here. He got a few recons because recons do relatively well against infantry, given the sight advantage. But looks like that reinforcement position is in fact going to go down, and more infantry going to rush forward, maybe trying to take this position here with this The BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicles winding up. The Mort45 turns winding up. Everything's going to fire on this location. Looks like these infantry will not be able to make it, but whoa, I might have spoke too soon. They're in fact in range and they just need to deploy right now. And they get in the woods first, not too bad. He was lucky in not losing one. And is he going to deploy is the question. Because the second he deploys this could be the situation where there's no coming back from Mort. He might as well just surrender if he loses these Mort45 turns in this key position on the map. And the Fusiliers are not actually getting deployed right now. A little bit of a misstep from Allcuza here, and we can see he's probably paying attention to something else that we should be paying attention to. In fact, was an attempt at a command. He pulls his command out just in time, and he moves it right back in position. All the while up here, finally the Fusiliers have been deployed, and the Fusiliers are doing insanely high mass damage, knocking out these empty LB turns. These Saracen carriers are in fact running away because they're taking on these tanks at a high position. And oh my god, we have another group of infantry coming into the woods here. There are in fact 30 Mort45 here, and some Fusiliers actually coming up to support. He's loving on these Fusiliers. You see the TOW is trying to pick up this BTR-6 and PI. And looks like this position will in fact get taken up here by Allcuza. The Fusiliers are struggling to get to this BMP-1 though, and we have lots of support for them as well. These 3 Fusiliers will get picked off by the recon. In the south here, we're seeing a crazy battle. Will these Fusiliers get there in time? Looks like they do in fact get there in time, but is it really enough? That's the question. That's a lot of Mort45. There's still 23 of them left. There's only, oh my god, like 16 Fusiliers left. This is a very, very close infantry battle. I almost did the Chinese thing saying close. It's a very close battle. And the Colos are actually supporting this battle on behalf of Mort. And he's pulling back his Mort45 a little bit. Maybe trying to chase down these Fusiliers. Yes, that's in fact what he's doing. And the Fusiliers are actually pushed back by this group of Mort45. So Allcuza maintaining his lead and pushing back all the forces. It's one of these weird battles where you know who won it, and the score doesn't really show it that well. Both commands pulled back now. I don't know what to say. It's one of these annoying kind of games where people are very resilient. They know they've lost, but they're being very resilient. And you know, Allcuza has been playing a relatively slow-paced game. Not slow compared to most, but just slow. He's going to load up a bunch of gazelles. Not too bad. I mean, if he was really, really going slow with this, oh my god, they might get sniped down right away. The gazelles are wanting to use this FJB, but the FJB looks like they're going to get some lucky hits off. And oh my god, one gazelle goes down. Maybe a second gazelle will go down. And that's actually the case. He's lost 2 gazelles. This is the kind of sloppiness I'm talking about. And now he knows there's an FJB there. And he's lost 3 gazelles to that. That is insane. Very expensive helicopters. It's now up to a 700 point detriment. And he's starting to realize, like, oh my god, there's a lot of units there. He sent the TPZ Fuchs, single one, into the woods to try and deal with this. The Zippo, still within range of these units, but not wanting to engage them. All while his main army still here, just creating a flank, and unfortunately not really pushing up. We also have an infantry carrier, gonna do some stuff. I think this game's pretty much over, and I'm just gonna put this in fast forward mode so you don't miss anything, but you know, I think the majority of the action is pretty much over. The command is gonna retreat again. I will now call this Morty style. This would also be the second game of the day in which people have been very mobile with their commands and definitely not wanting to lose so badly. There is a group of infantry up north here going to try and take this reinforcement point, which has been a very standardized play. He's actually taking them right from here too, and he's just making sure no new units get out on the map. Very smart play, but more units are rallying in from Lima. And here comes the big push. He's actually got some Fusiliers running too. Like, these poor guys. Imagine if you're in the army and you jogged every day 500 yards, you know, the standard army thing, and then you get to the actual battlefield and they're like, no dude, you actually have to run everywhere. Are you kidding me? You thought you were gonna get to walk into battle? No, no, no. There's no infantry carrier for you. That's only for like the top brass and when there's media around. Actually, you have to run in on foot, and if you survive, keep in mind we modeled this tactic after the Russians, then you'll be good. Pulling the command again, being ultra annoying. 8 minutes left in the game. Trying to survive is hardest. Not really trying to win at the moment. And if there's people in the tournament who are left over, and you see this kind of scenario, forfeiting is not a bad idea. It'd be very honorable if you forfeited at this point in the game, because I mean, it kind of just makes you into an asshole, which is a nice thing to say, but it's true. And slowly all these very immobile infantry are getting gunned down by very, very powerful units. We see a big giant group of infantry pushed forward, and here comes the armored column again. And you can see he's just moving these infantry around, trying to get out any units he can. He has a giant cluster of infantry moving down the map, not even protecting his commands from this giant army. And here comes the push. He does in fact get the command. The French spy is deployed. Everything is getting wiped out by infantry. And the other command is right here. Very, very close. He's winding up. He just needs to move in and end it. 2 minutes. It's always nice to see a total victory where they get the command. But it looks like he's going to be a little bit annoying. Moving the command again. This giant column of be actually gunning down helicopters. That's kind of embarrassing. You can actually micro against these units with helicopters. And there's tank destroyers here against tanks. And the game's over. So a big victory for, and his name is actually Allcuza. I've been calling him Al. Big victory for Allcuza, who's actually a fairly high-rated player, 1850. Mort, you are a disgrace. You are disgusting. You are lower than the low. You are definitely 45 years old. Not a bad match. A little bit on the end, pretty long. But this is the final match of round 2 that I'll be casting. Round 3 will officially begin today, but we're not going to see any matches for a day or two. So in the meantime, I'll probably just play other games, and my channel might show up with some unicorns. So if you like unicorns, like this video and keep watching. If you don't like unicorns, I'll give you candy.